Good morning, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Tea with Elsa. Today we have the lovely Arjeta, who is the founder of TIMAK. She's going to be taking us through the inspiring journey of TIMAK, a company that not only excels in the realm of vehicle manufacturing and conversions, but also strives to empower women in traditionally male-dominated industries. So let's get stuck in.
I'm Arjeta. In 91 to Turkey, and I studied there computer engineering. Later, I worked in Germany and in Japan as an engineer, but in automotive sector. And 6 years ago, I decided to come back to Albania, as many Albanian immigrants has that dream to go back one day in their country. And I was, since kid, was saying that I will go one day to Albania, and I opened TIMAK. Actually, it started like a company to sell vehicles, but in a tender that I attend, I won a tender about ambulances, and I was working with a company, and they just left the work. So I learned how to do ambulances, as I am also an engineer, and I had also the specialist that I can work. And so TIMAK produces ambulances, fire trucks, police vehicles, every kind of conversion, because for every kind of conversion that clients were coming, we were saying yes, and we were trying. And since 5 years, we tried many kind of conversions, like even barbershop, food truck, mobile training unit. Like we do every kind of conversions, let's say, as a TIMAK.
Wow. Okay. Which one's the hardest conversion to do or has been the hardest one?
For me, it was barbershop because I didn't know what to do with that. I had no information. But it is very funny because when it is a barbershop or food truck, or now we are going to do a mobile show truck for a TV clan in Albania.
Yeah.
Mobile studio. So
Yeah.
every time we go, and we go to workplace. So we go to barbershop. We learn what kind of activity they do. Or we go to for food truck. We did for OPA in Albania. We were inside in the kitchen. We were seeing how the process go. Also with studio, we went and we saw how the studio was, what they need, what kind of lighting, and so on. So all kind of new categories. It's a bit hard, to be honest, because you have to learn more extra specific things.
Well, I think maybe Tea with Elsa might need a studio truck as well in the future someday. So once you have the expertise, we'll definitely be able to give you a ring for that, which is perfect. Well, that's great. I guess to kind of kick things off, I always feel like the story of Albanians coming back home, starting a business is always probably one of the most inspirational, because you're taking a lot of knowledge you've learned and you are taking it back home to grow something that can also help people back home with careers, but also providing services that we probably do not have there. One thing I want to talk to you about is when you first started the business in Albania. What made you, I guess, start with that? Obviously, you had the experience of being a student with engineering, but what made you delve more into the conversions? Did you see the opportunity? Was there a market there? Was no one filling that? Was the competition hard? How was the beginning of it?
As I said, actually, it started a bit by chance. Like my misfortune became fortune. Like the company who was doing the conversion, because there is no a company who makes conversions of ambulances in Albania. Actually, also in many Balkan regions, there is no company who is doing that. So we were working with a Turkish company, but they just left, and we had to finish the project because it was really a huge project. It was like 32 ambulances for Albania, and in that time we learned how to do it with the other ambulance specialists. And after we did ambulance, nobody know that we knew before or we knew the experience. Just the client were coming and saying, okay, we know that you are converting ambulances. Do you convert also the police cars, let's say? We were saying yes, and after that, do you convert also fire trucks? Yes, and this is how it started. Not that we studied the market for that, but it was a little bit by chance. And I think one thing in Albania that is good, you can start something and you can see later what market needs. But because Albania has many opportunities actually as a market, like you can find your way by chance in a very nice places.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I guess from going off from what you just said, because it's still a developing market, with industries that are still developing. If you are someone with a particular set of skills, you'll be able to see where that market can take you. Similar to what you did, you first started off, and then, like every other entrepreneur, they give you a task and you just say yes, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to now figure this out and see if I can actually do it, or am I going to struggle with it? But I always feel like you still need to have that foundational skills, because you have systems in place where you know, like, okay, well, we're going to say yes, but we're going to do it the right way. We're going to treat our clients professionally to make sure it's done, and we can have repeat business, which I'm sure has led to the success. But I guess there is some mistakes people do make when they enter the market. You know, I think we talked about this earlier as a joke where we said loads of people just come to Albania and then they open up a coffee shop next to another coffee shop next to another coffee shop.
Yeah, and like there is in Albania so many opportunities like you can do. I want to give one
Yeah.
example. I have a friend who is German and he was studying as an engineer in Aachen and his best friend was an Albanian in Aachen again.
Yeah.
And they decided to come back to Albania and he wanted to see Albania if there is a business opportunity. As they were electrical engineering, they started to build a company for solar panels implementations. And now in 5 years, he learned Albanian. He speaks perfectly Albanian, yes. And they have 120 employees. And yes, and they are one of the biggest solar implementation companies. So in Albania, you have really a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. Why? I guess that's such a good point that you made there, where there is opportunity. But not to make things of a difficult conversation, but obviously there is so many talks around people leaving Albania, and me and you, we just discussed that. You know, the market is still fresh. There is opportunity. Why do you think people back home, or even some people diaspora, do not see that opportunity that someone like yourself saw, who was just testing the ground, or someone like your friend you mentioned? So why do you think they don't see those opportunities, or why do you think they don't tackle those opportunities? What do you think is the main blocker for people that you've probably
I think
seen?
they are very focused to the problems that Albania has, which really has. Like
Mm,
we have still problems in education system, we have still problems in health system.
mm,
So we are kind of a new country, improving country. We have our problems. So for them, the priorities sometimes could be because of their family, kids, parents. I don't know. They want maybe a country with a better health system or maybe better education system. I think this could be the main reasons why they are leaving.
mm. So it's more about like seeing opportunities and more about uh those things that are closer to them, like you said, education, because that's probably for a lot of younger people, education is the main thing, and for a lot of older people, it's healthcare. Those are which
Also,
I
in Albania, still we don't have many industries. Like there is no
mm,
like automotive industries or
yeah,
other industries. All the industries in Albania is mostly agriculture or tourism.
yeah,
So this is also maybe if you are an engineer, maybe you would like to work in good company that you can have a real career. So this is with the mindset if you want to work somewhere or if you want to create something. So maybe people want to work somewhere and they cannot find themselves in Albania.
yeah, but yeah, no, that's very, very true. If there is no industry for what they want to study, then why stay there, especially when you're in Europe and, you know, Germany's just there, Italy's just across, and those sort of things. But you yourself, though, you have decided to delve into, I guess, developing an industry. Like you said, you know, there was one company that was doing it before that you were helping with, the Turkish company, correct? They then left and you kind of took the reins, and now you are, you know, the main, like you said, the main person or the main company for a lot of the Balkan countries, because even in North Macedonia, which we talked about, they probably don't have that, and you're providing that service for them as well. Do you feel a level of responsibility? Because, you know, when you are the first in the industry, do you feel a level of responsibility to share the wins, the losses, everything?
Yeah, like there is a lot of responsibility, especially in production in Albania. Like you, every time you don't have some pieces to produce, like you are programming your production, and every time something is missing or if something is wrong, you have to wait from Italy, from Turkey, you have to stop the production. So being the first has really big responsibilities, especially with time, being with also economically, because we are spending a lot of money actually. Like for all my first products, I spend a lot of money, and like I was nearly 0 to 0 with well, but with the second, third, and the others, then I had better results at profit. But being the first is like you are every time doing a research and development with your own money, and
Mm.
we are still kind of startup. We don't have all that money, so you have to have that vision that you say, okay, I'm doing this sacrifice now, but maybe in few years it will be good for our company and for us. So you accept this responsibility and you go on. So we in production in Albania, you don't find many pieces, you don't find specialists, you don't find sometimes even to color the vehicle somebody. So it is every time challenge. It's not just producing, but every category in producing a vehicle has many challenges.
Yeah, because you're probably realizing as you are going along the pipeline of production that you're like, okay, now we need to get this bit done, but there's no one in the region that can do this bit. So how do we, now we have to research and develop our own team to do this bit, which obviously if you just hire or pay a contractor, it saves time.
Also for buying the materials. For example,
Yeah.
in a fire truck, we need some aluminium profiles, which you cannot find in Albania. We are asking in Greece, we are asking in
Mm.
Italy, we are asking, like when you are in other countries, you just have it in your city, you call and you go
Yeah.
and buy it in 1 hour. But in our case, sometimes we have to wait 1 week, 2 weeks. So it is very problematic.
Yeah. So anyone listening, there's opportunity to sell aluminium to TIMAK. So if you're in
Yeah.
Albania, just start.
And many other things, like
And-
especially for the trucks and cars, there is many other things that they can do.
yeah, yeah,
Spare parts.
definitely. Kind of just I want to bring things back to, I guess, before you even started the business. A little bit more about you being a student. Probably when you were younger. Uh, you did you always feel like you were an entrepreneur in the mind or in the spirit, or was it something that you kind of grew into from, you know, the experiences you had?
To be honest, maybe entrepreneurs has also kind of a bit ego. And I feel that when I was in a third year of my class,
Yeah.
when I was 9 years old, and like for my mom's birthday, my father said that we will buy an earrings together to your mom. But I said I don't have money, so I cannot buy to her. So it's like cheating. And my father said I will buy and give to you, and you will give to her. And I feel like, no, I want to buy my own gift. So when I was at work, we had a course that we were creating something. It was a course, let's say. And I said, why I'm not selling this and I can buy gift to my mom. So when I started to create and sell to the class and the other classes, and I started to earn money since when I was 9 years old. So I think sometimes these things are also kind of, so since I was a kid, I wanted to be independent, to earn my money. to have my things. I don't like somebody to give me something, but doing by myself.
Yeah.
So I think it's something also when you are born, you have some characters.
Yeah, definitely. I guess it's that sort of self-dependence to provide for yourself, and you rely on yourself for your completing your objectives and achievements. It's funny because I think every person that I've met has told a story similar. It's like, how did you get into entrepreneurship? It's like, well, when I was a kid, I sold other kids candy. So I needed to, and I've told this story as well from my end, and I think people have already heard it so many times on the podcast. But it's same with me. When I was like younger, I was like, my uncle would go to, he had his like little restaurant, he had a small restaurant. He would go to buy the like the muffins and stuff, and Dr. Peppers and Coca-Colas at reduced prices because he would buy them bulk. I would then take them into school and sell them like double the prices. And I made all that money, which was great, but I was so bad at saving it because I would spend it all on like sweets and it was like silly stuff. Like, so,
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
also I bankrupt.
yeah. Like,
9 years old.
yeah, we learned how to make money, not to save and invest back then.
Yeah.
That came later. That came when we were older.
Yeah.
No, but that's really, really great. Starting young. And then you mentioned something in the beginning, which I didn't know about this, but you said you worked in Germany and Japan as well, correct?
Yeah.
How was that experience working in a different market? Because you do learn a lot because the culture is different. The people you do business with are different. This is something that we have loads of American coming into London, and when they want to work in media, they're very surprised about the culture. People drink a lot here in London. Do you want to do a meeting? Yeah, let's do it over a beer. That is London. Whereas I can imagine when you go to like Germany and Japan, it's a different culture of doing business. Was there anything you picked up from there that you learned that you've taken on to TIMAK?
In Germany, actually, both countries has a very good work discipline. This was really that I liked, and the people actually were not like us. Like we were trying to learn everything, but in Germany and Japan, what I see, they were focused what just to their profession, and they knew some basic knowledge. I was trying in that time to learn everything and being expert and knowing more than I need to know. And this was something that I like in Germany and Japan. We were focused just what they need to know and what they need to learn. And they were also very like saying whatever they say, they were true, let's say. They were
All right.
not manipulated, yeah, and I enjoyed that. So you can have many times a real conversation. This was with Germans, not with Japans. Japans were very indirect. Like you
Ah,
have to understand what he wants to say with that word.
got it. Wow, interesting. It is. Oh,
Yeah.
that is very, very interesting. Yeah, I think Germany, even in the industry I work in, known for being very, very direct. You know what you're
Yeah,
gonna get with them.
but what I didn't like about Germany, they were doing a lot of meetings. Like
Oh,
for everything we had to do meetings, and I was thinking sometimes we are not going fast enough because of meetings. Like, but I work also like because when I was at university in summers, I was trying every time doing internship,
mm,
not to spend my summer just
yeah.
staying. So I work also in Croatia. I work also in
Wow.
China.
Wow.
So yeah,
Very, very.
every from every countries I had different cultures, and every time you learn something.
Yeah. How is it working in China? Because that one, I've heard people like have they liked working in China when people went.
It was really different
Yeah,
experience. Like they have kind of communist system, and it was
yeah,
different from ours. So but you enjoy every time to learn new things. So
yeah.
it was good. But in these places, I was not working like for my profession. In China, I was an English teacher. In Croatia, I was working in a tourist office. So I was in a city that I didn't know, and I was explaining to people about the city.
You're just like, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about the city you come from.
Yeah.
What made you want to go to? I guess because Japan and Germany were related to the industry and the field you were studying and
But
working in.
Germany is like known very good about engineering,
Yeah,
and I thought I could have really good experiences there, and I really had because I was working in research and development in Bosch.
yeah,
We were working in hybrid cars, and I was doing the human machine interface.
yeah,
So I was getting the data from the car and putting the console of the car. So it was really good experience. Also, it was good to know because before when I was seeing these projects, I was thinking like, wow, the people who are doing this has to be really genuine and has to have a really good background. And I would never do some project like that. But when you are there, you see that you can do really smart projects
yeah.
with the help of also with other peoples, and you feel good and uh, you can actually achieve something. This was a feeling that I like in Germany. Japan was mostly, it was kind of my dream to work in Japan because we were every time seeing in the
Yeah.
movies the Japan and so on. So I enjoyed the Japan, but it was not like working in Germany. In Germany, they put you in everything and they teach you everything. Japan was a bit more different.
Yeah, and because in China and Croatia you didn't do anything related to your industry. What made you want to go? What made you want to go there? Was it just for the experience, or?
Yeah, it was more like why I should spend my summertime doing nothing, but I can learn something, I can meet somebody, and also I was earning a little money in that time in the internship. So I said, okay, I can see a new country, I can work in a new environment, and I can earn also a little bit money.
Okay, very that's very good. I think everyone wants to travel and work. That was my dream when I was younger as well. I was like, oh, if I could just like travel,
Yeah.
work, that'd be fun. And then you get older,
Yeah,
and then you're
and
like,
imagine in the university times, in that times you are not traveling a lot, you are generally studying, and it
yeah,
was really good. In summertime, you are in Croatia. Croatia is a very nice country. Also, in summertime, you are in China. There is also different country from different countries interns.
mm,
So you are spending time with them. So it is a really good environment. It's better than spending on the beach or on the house in the house.
yeah. So to all students listening, get up, do something. Basically, that's what.
Absolutely. And one thing that I was surprised in Croatia, it was like everybody was working, like every student.
Mm,
Like when, because I lived in Turkey, every kid in Turkey is prince and princess. They don't work on
mm,
on summers. They just stay at home reading some books or something. When I was in Croatia, I was so surprised because there was a girl, she was engineer, she was working in a uh, how to say in a supermarket.
yeah.
There was a guy who was studying for a lawyer. He was working in a gas station,
Mm.
filling the gas. Like it was really cultural shock to me, and I really love it because in very young age they have responsibilities.
And that's definitely what some students need to take on responsibility so they can learn. I think I agree with that sentiment because I remember when I had a job at Zara when I was in university, and I hated it, and that made me in
Why?
my head be like, I never want to do this ever. I need to work hard. I cannot.
It's
I
also
can.
good to know what you don't want to do.
It's to be honest. I think that is probably the best experience you can get because if you're an ambitious person, because I think there's loads of young people who are ambitious, they have it in their head, they want to be somebody, but they probably don't push themselves hard enough because there's nothing scaring them. And I think sometimes that fear can be used as a good thing. And I think if you give someone a good experience in a work and place, they'll be like, oh, this is the best that could happen. So they kind of chill. But if you show them like, hey, look, this is the worst that could happen. So make sure you actually like do something. I think that is far more better for some people. And for me, that's what I needed. If you showed me what was good, I would have been like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool. Like, but if you show me what's bad, I'll be like, oh, yeah, no, I need to. move. I need to do something. I need to
Yeah.
study. I need to.
For example, I finished computer engineering, and for me was like coding is really nice. I love coding
Yeah.
and so on, because every time I was feeling like I'm solving a puzzle, and the time was just passing so fast and so fun to me. But when I started to work at Bosch, I was like just in front of computer, sitting, coding, like for months, just coding and really not talking to anybody, just
Yeah.
sitting and coding. Said, okay, I don't want this. That's why it's very important to try things.
Definitely. And I think when you are at that 18, even I think in your 20s, I think that is your prime time to test and see what you like, do things to the best ability so you know if you're good at it, if you're bad at it, because you're not going to be good at everything you do. You're not going to like everything you do. So find what works with your lifestyle, with how you work, and then go that route. You know, not everyone is supposed to
Especially
be.
something that you love, even though maybe sometimes you can be talented in something, but if you
Hmm.
don't love, it doesn't work, generally.
Yeah, definitely. I think you got to have an enjoyment for something in that industry. It doesn't have to be the one specific thing, but there's got to be a level of excitement that makes you go, "Oh, I want to, be the first in my industry," or "I want to do this to get this objective." You got to set goals and objectives, even in your career, even if you are working a 9 to 5 job. And I'm sure, as you know, as a business owner, if you don't set objectives, then your team doesn't know what the hell they're working
Yeah,
towards. What are we working
absolutely.
towards? Are we
Uh,
doing this for fun or?
For example, our work is very fun because we have, for example, when we have barbershop, we have the barbers, they are
Yeah,
coming, all the girls from our company, they are coming and studying the case, we are talking with them,
yeah,
or with the studio, like a mobile studio, TV studio. Again, we are knowing the famous people, we are talking with them, how they are going to do the show, what kind of construction we will do. So I see even in my colleagues, like they are really enjoying the work, because it's also like uh, American documentaries with the converting the cars.
yeah.
And we are very much enjoying. Also, our office is a bit flexible, so we don't stay just on the chairs. We go very much to factory place, and we spend time there. So we are doing something that we
I want to bring things back because I guess we're kind of going there, but I want to bring things back to TIMAK and talk about, I guess, setting up a business in Albania, because we kind of had a good intro into how you started, why you started, the journey you kind of took, the experience you gained, but kind of want to bring things back to TIMAK. You came here, um, you started with that company, you then took over. How do you then go on to, I guess, build a company culture to get people to join you? Because that is also something that we don't think about if we want to start a business. We need to convince people to join our company. And sometimes just giving them a paycheck is not enough.
Yeah, absolutely. We start actually one by one because we had a little limited cash. So we start like with a 1, 2 person, and we had a technique, and we have somebody for sales. So generally, we had everybody who were functional actually.
Mm,
So after that, when the company starts to grow, you start also to have other employees as your request. We started to work also very much with the professional schools, because our company wants also to contribute to country.
mm.
So we want to teach this industry to young people. Also, we want to have uh, in the future qualified employees. So we work also very much with professional schools. We have very good results from there, and we have 3 who are employed from professional schools. So it was like this, just growing by time.
Yeah, I think one of the most inspiring things in that whole statement there is you giving time and investment with those professional schools to train people back home. One thing you talked about previously was like in Albania there tends to be a lack of certain industries because there's not enough training or there isn't a leader. And when we talked about your responsibilities, being, I guess, a business leader, you not only investing with the company but also outside of it, investing into education, which one can benefit you, but also it allows future business leaders to enter the industry easier. They're not going to have to worry about, oh, I need to train these people up. They're going to be like, oh, perfect, there's already trained people up, I can just find a way to convince them to join my company. And I think that's very, very inspirational, because that's something we need to see more of in Albania, where companies are training up young people, giving them a reason to stay.
Absolutely.
Like you said, that's the key thing, is that education. However that education comes, if it's from university or if it's from experience, they're hungry for that. So if we can provide that for them, they will do it, and we know they can do it. So I think that's a very, very it's a very inspirational thing. So
and I was also inspired from them. I saw really smart kids, like they're really smart. Like one of my techniques, he was learning so fast from my specialist, and after 2-3 times that he did, we didn't need for some process the specialists that we were hiring them from abroad, like from Italy or from Turkey. He was doing by himself.
Yeah.
So it was very inspiring. Or I was looking for a designer, and again, I work with a girl from a professional school. She's so young but so talented. Like she created really, really nice things. Like also with website, Instagram, with our vehicles brandings. Like so, I was so happy, because also they are happy to work here. I'm also happy that I'm not very dependent to abroad to work for such things. So also we are investing and giving experience to our people.
Yeah. No, I think that's the best thing. That experience is, I think that's the key thing with Albanians back home, probably the young students, is that experience is needed. I think some of the issues we tend to hear about is that everything's related to who which can, it can stifle growth in certain areas. If someone's interested in a particular industry and they're not getting in it because someone else got it because they know someone, that happens all over the world. Let's not pretend that it doesn't happen in the UK. It does. But there is still opportunity to enter industries with the experience, the expertise you can provide, and the grit that you show to people.
In Albania, there is something like people are saying sometimes, okay, we are teaching them, giving them experience, but sometimes they are going to other companies. I said it's okay. Like he's going to another company, but also somebody from other company is coming to you. So don't think very much like just my company and people experiences from me to be in your company. This is like how you create a specialist in industry. They are moving, and somebody that I thought they are working in their company and the others are working in my company. So it's okay.
Yeah, you don't hold like what's the right word? You don't feel heartbroken if someone, because like you said, at the end of the day, they're moving because they want to improve their own career, so they're doing things. But I also feel like if someone's looking to move as a business owner, or as a manager, if someone in your team is looking to leave, you have to understand why they're looking to leave. Is it because the functionality, or we can't provide them that experience that they're looking for in their career, which is completely fair? Or is it because actually, the culture hasn't been right, the pay hasn't been good, and they know that they can get it somewhere else? And those are times where I think like certain managers, certain teams and business owners should assess why people are leaving. And you could probably keep a lot of good workforce if you just like, okay, where are the incentives and what can we do to keep good people?
I think some business owners here, I will say that they are not smart enough. Why? Because they want to give the minimum wage.
Yeah.
And they want to use actually these people with a really small amount of money. But they don't understand that soon they will leave and soon you won't have somebody. And even though you will have work, clients, you don't have somebody who can realize that work. Actually, in the future, you are losing much more money. So they are very obsessed with today's money and they don't think what the future can bring. Like I have many companies that I know now, they are really big and they are calling me and saying like we don't have employees, we have so many works actually and we have so many orders, but we cannot realize them because we don't have employees. Surprise, of course you don't have.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were till yesterday you were paying them the minimum salaries. What you expect? You are not treating them. You are not treating them good. So what you
Yeah.
expect now? Modern world, everything is open. They are going, of course. I see generally the companies who are treating good their employees, most of their employees stay there.
Of course.
So
It's no. And you made a great point about and this is something that doesn't just happen in Albania, it happens everywhere. Short-sightedness for just a day's money, not long
yeah,
term. And I think with any business, you should, as you know, like you said, you started your business with your own capital, with your own cash, funded. You have to find a way to make money tomorrow to keep the lights on, but you should also think about long term. How do we grow? How do we keep our teams? How do we expand into these regions? How do we make sure that, in next year we get bigger projects that can keep us, that allow us bigger buffer times before we have to pay the next bill. It's all about creating those systems in place and having that long term objectives and targets rather than okay.
that's why vision in a company is very important.
Yes. Yeah, and that's why, like you said, those short term objectives of like, oh, why are they looking to leave if I offer them the minimum wage and someone next
Yeah.
door is offering them,
I was in a TV show and they asked, "What do you think about minimum wage change and it raised now, rise now? What do you think about?" I said, "I don't think anything because I don't use it in my company. Like we don't have minimum salary. Even
yeah,
interns, we are trying to give some salary to them to motivate them. So
yeah,
because in the end they are doing some work, even though they are learning. So
yeah,
also it's motivating for them."
absolutely. No, that's really great. And also with the experience that you're giving to them, I think that's even better on top of it as well. And I guess kind of just bringing things back to the company, what has been, I guess, some of the uh, biggest, or what's been some of the challenges that you found hard with raising a company in Albania that you didn't really think about before, that you probably forgot to plan about?
I think one of the biggest thing for me here was like the comments are very negative. Like whenever you want to do something, you cannot do it. It
Ah,
won't work. It won't be happen. It's so tiring. Like in the like every time you have, no, they are lying. It won't be happen. No, you don't have chance. No, you are a girl in Albania. It won't work. No, you didn't have experience before in Albania. It won't work. It won't work. It's every time like that. And it's really, really tiring. I think one of the most difficult thing in Albania is like negative, and I'm very positive person to be honest. Even because every time business has bad things, bad experiences, every time I'm trying to look even in the bad things, positive part. So for positive people, it's very tiring. All these negative comments. There is a very negative atmosphere. Let's say like every
yeah,
time people, you cannot do it. That's why I'm trying to explain people you can do it. Like even the German guy came from Germany. He didn't know even Albanian. He didn't know the culture, and he did like 100 a company with 120 employees in 5 years. So it's doable. So that's
yeah,
why I don't like just the negative atmosphere here in Albania, and sometimes it's tiring really because they
yeah.
don't trust you.
Yeah. Do you think that that's probably like that sort of I don't know how to put it, because I feel like when I compare culturally people in Kosovo who are very more optimistic, there tends to be a lot more business going on. Every time I'm talking to someone, it's like, yeah, I got a business and I'm doing this. And then you go to Albania, it's like, yeah, I'm leaving the country. And it's like, oh, wow, very different things. It's like, so
Maybe I
I,
don't know if it is something related being a new country and
yeah,
before with the communist system. I don't know. Why
yeah.
is the reason? But they're so negative.
But yeah, I do feel like that same sentiment where people, I've been lucky to meet a few Albanians and some that we've interviewed here who live and work in Albania, and they do have that optimistic, but they bring the same thing as you mentioned, is like people do not believe in you, and no
Yeah.
matter what it is, they look at it like they squint their eyes and they're like, no, it can't happen. And it's like, but why? Like, why don't you should be rooting for us. You should be putting your hands and being like, yes, we want to see you succeed. We want to see you create the first industry in Albania. It's only until you've become successful that they're there and they're like, hey, yeah, well done.
Yeah, well done. But in that time, who is behind you? It's not
Oh, really?
possible. You as a girl, you can do it by alone. Come
Is
on, we know such things in Albania. It's not possible. I said,
is that the
I'm not
main?
an Elon Musk. I didn't do like billions of euros company. It's just I'm doing some millions of euros
Yeah,
turnover per year. So it's normal. If you go, for example, in Istanbul, like my company, you can find thousands and
yeah,
thousands companies. Not that hard to have a business and to run it well. It's
yeah,
not something magical and you need somebody helping you
yeah.
secretly.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree. I think setting up a business is a very, very hard thing mentally. You take on a lot of toll because you've got to employ people. You want to make sure that that they have a living to come to work for you and to go back home and to be proud of the work, but also making sure you set something up for the future that can run itself. And so it's a very tremendous task to take on, and it's not for everyone. One thing I did want to just come back into was when you were talking about the negativity. One of the things you mentioned was yourself being a woman, and I was going to bring this up earlier because the industry that you probably work in is very male dominated, I'm guessing.
Yeah, very well
Um,
doing.
and you yourself, you come in and you mention one of the comments that you get is you're 30-year-old woman in your 30s, someone else is doing the work behind, and this must be marketing or whatnot. So how do you, as a woman, how do you deal with that? Do you find more? Do you use that those negative comments to, motivate yourself to then use those resources to inspire young girls as well to be like, actually, do this?
Yeah. Like my company now is, I can say 70 or 80% of women and girls.
Wow.
So I'm trying to attract them to industries dominated
Yeah.
by men. And they are actually, I was a bit skeptic in the beginning, but they are really enjoying the company and they are seeing that there is nothing interesting that boys are doing. Actually, it's just normal work.
Yeah.
Just is dominated by men by chance, I don't know.
Yeah.
And about being a woman in business, it has also disadvantages, also has advantages. Disadvantages are like they don't trust very much technically what you are saying. They want a man like to ask, which we don't have.
Yeah.
Everybody in the
Definitely.
company, which they can negotiate about technical things, are girls.
Yeah.
So in the end, they are convinced to work with us. Also, the engineers girls. So also about other disadvantages, sometimes you can have flirty people.
Ah.
This is
Yeah.
also a disadvantage. You don't have very much when you are a man. Also, the other thing are they feel more easy to not to keep their promise because they are kind of not scared of you and they don't give sometimes their money. They don't keep their promise with days and so on. Especially in Albania, they don't do it very much with men. They don't want to have troubles, but with the girls, they don't care very much. These are the disadvantages. The advantages, I have many men who are very inspired about the company and they find it very valuable and they want to be kind of support. That's why they want to work with me. This was kind of advantage. I know many nice men in Albania who were every time supportive. And they were every time, thank you for doing such a thing. It's a good, inspiring story. So I have very much supports about men. Sometimes even a nice word is very much meaningful. Also, other advantages is like you are in automotive sector, a man-dominated environment. So the international organizations, they have many supports for women, and they really like this kind of example. So I've been in UN Woman. Okay, they made kind of articles and so on, but still it's marketing for me. I had the USAID, which they helped me with having a credit without collateral, because I didn't have collateral and I couldn't have a credit. And for example, I had EBRD, European Bank. They also helped me with some programs that I wanted to install in my company. So you have the support of international organizations when you are a woman. So these are also good things.
Yeah, I guess the disadvantages tend to be more local based.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, like
flirting with a woman, it's everywhere in the world, from my experience.
That's the worst one for you. Do you? I mean, I guess with the negotiation ones, you just have to make sure that they have to learn better how to negotiate. If they're scared to negotiate, that's such an interesting one to be scared or want to negotiate with someone else. Business is very analytical. Doesn't matter who is saying it, whether a computer or not. It's going to be the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But in negotiations, I heard that women are better when they negotiate for somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know
like
that. That's very interesting.
yeah. Also, because I was studying some negotiation class, and women are really very good in negotiation, but not when they are negotiating for their self, but for others. Then they are better than men. But men are better when they are negotiating for their self.
Yeah, I guess that does kind of ring true because there is a lot of, I see a lot of, even here in the UK, I've had to have a conversation with friends of mine, female, and explain to them that, you should be asking for more money at your job because you deserve it, because you are doing the same work as someone else. Like, and they always tend to feel like, oh, is it bad though? It's like, no, it's not. It's a very normal thing to do. Just ask for, hey, can you give me a pay rise, please? But it is a very common thing. And I think there has been like loads of workshops for women to just help them feel confident in asking for more, because they should. If you're doing the same work, you shouldn't feel as if you don't
think it's
deserve it.
also how we were raised, because every time girls has to be good people. So asking for more money or being aggressive, because sometimes in my business I have to be aggressive.
Of course.
Like, and they are in this mindset. I am a good girl. If I be aggressive, I'm not anymore a good girl. This kind of things. But actually, if it is your right, sometimes you have to be also aggressive, and this is the problem that limits that.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, business is transactional. Business is not personal. So
Yeah,
there is
absolutely.
no such thing as being, in my opinion, I've always, when I talk to you, I'm like, it's never aggressive, because if you are asking for more money, it's for a reason. You're doing a good job, or you can't afford, to get paid what you're getting paid anymore. That's not personal. That is a business, a transaction. I need more money. And same as a
and
business.
it's very normal.
It's very normal. I want to ask for a lower price rate because I'm buying in bulk. So you should give me that, because I'm guaranteeing you business. as a return, I should get that discounted rate. Same thing, nothing personal. It's just
Yeah,
business.
absolutely.
Now, do you I guess over the time have you learned to negotiate better, to be a little bit more tough with people when you're dealing negotiation? Like you said, it is a very tough business. You do have to be tough
Yeah.
sometimes. Is that something you've had to learn,
Yeah, it
or
is totally experience actually. Also
yeah,
negotiation. I did also some courses in online with Harvard. So because in business, I'm trying to every time improve myself. I'm learning finance. I'm learning negotiation. Whatever I feel myself like I have a deficiency.
yeah,
But negotiations, it's you have to practice a lot. Like still, I don't like very much negotiating about money because I like to have my offer and that's the offer. I don't want to talk about it more, but there are still people they like let's do it, please.
yeah.
I don't like to say it and generally I accept, okay. Just I don't want to accept to negotiate.
So you
But
need to get
about the
better at
different
telling them no.
negotiations, like trying to have the work for myself, like if there's a company who will offer to me or to another company to get the job. So in that part, I'm very negotiative. But about the money, I don't like it very much.
Yeah. Very I guess people get very touchy about money because it's hard to
Yeah,
sometimes put a value on something which is price based, because people value different prices differently for so you'll never
yeah,
know like what £1,000 means to one client, what £1,000 means to another client. I've had times where I'll be working with a client, they have smaller budgets and they are the most picky people ever. They want to do like they want to squeeze as much as they can. And I've had other clients
yeah.
where that small budget is like, look, just do what you want with it, and like, so
Yeah,
different.
I had that with a comfort. They were saying like, okay, but I don't have the budget. I don't have the budget. I don't have the budget. And can you do just the toilet? I said, okay, come on, man, just don't do it.
Yeah, it's okay to just not say no.
Yeah,
Save up the money in the future
yeah, yeah.
and come back again. Okay, very nice. Cool. I just want to ask you a few more questions before we kick you off of the podcast and let you get on with the rest of your day. One of one of the things I wanted to ask you was, and I was kind of like alluding towards this, but actually, first fun question is: will we see, before I ask the serious questions, will we see a TIMAK supercar in the future?
Yes, very near future, but it won't be TIMAK because we are creating a new company now with the government, and it will be called Albanian Automotive Technology as a company, and of course we will have a brand name for the supercar. Actually, it will be hypercar, and we are trying to finish the prototype in the end of February, and to have it in Geneva Auto Show.
That
So
is
our
very, very
Albanian
exciting.
car will be in Geneva Auto Show
That's
in
very exciting.
2024 February.
Very exciting. I'm guessing, as one of your favorite interviewers, you're going to send me a free car, right? That's what's going to happen. You're going to send a free car to Tea with Elsa, right? I'm hoping.
Yeah, of course.
No, that's amazing. That is happening. And again, very inspirational. Something that people should be looking up towards. And I always feel like even if it's just the beginning, it's still like it's a great place to start to build the foundation, and things only get better as
Yeah,
any company you work
my
at.
my idea was like to create an automotive industry, not just to create cars,
Yeah,
but to attract all foreign companies in Albania so they can produce their parts, they can produce some of their models, and then we can have some diaspora who is going out to come back to Albania. They will have better work opportunities, they will
yeah,
have more industry that they can work, and they can be happy in their country.
definitely great. And now moving on to the more serious questions. One I wanted to ask was, who has been your biggest inspiration? Whether it's anyone who has inspired you the most, and how have they inspired you?
Who inspired me? The Actually, also Elon Musk is inspiring me a lot.
Yeah.
Actually, very classical. But also the guy from Virgin Airlines.
Richard Branson.
Yeah, I like him very much because he's a very adventurous guy.
Yeah.
Because I also like adventures in my life, so I see very much parallelism with him.
Mhm.
So they are kind of inspiring me, and they look also like they have very much courage to do things because I like people who has courage to do things.
Mm.
So in business, they are very much inspiring me.
Risk takers, which is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
very, very
You have
important.
just one life and just take that risk
Absolutely.
and try it.
Absolutely. I'm all for that. I think that's the best way to look at it. You can't be thinking about, oh, just no, do it, take it, run, do not sit still, move as fast as you can. And then the other one was, I guess this is more for our students, but is there any book recommendations that you've recently read? Doesn't have to be non-fiction or business related. It could be anything that has inspired you or that has helped you on your business journey.
In my business journey, maybe not exactly related, but I like very much the Fountainhead
But
uh,
yeah,
from Ayn Rand.
yeah,
And there is some kind of idealism, which I
yeah,
really love in
check.
that book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very different. Because I mean, for the people who are listening, I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about Ayn Rand, but I believe 50s and 60s was the book written, if I'm
yeah, I
correct.
think so.
And she
Yeah,
was very anti-communist, very objectivism is I think what the ideology is called that she believed.
objectivism, yes, yeah. And
And
she
it
was
is
actually also a idealist and kind of egoist, but not in a bad way, let's say.
okay.
But first, you have to do your own things,
Mm,
whatever you want. Later, you can be successful.
yeah,
And there is a word that Ayn Rand says to say "I love you." First, you have to say "I,"
yeah, that's
because
great.
if you don't, yeah, if you don't love yourself and if you are not aware of yourself, how you can love somebody else? This is also the same in a business, in your all kind of relationships. Like first, you have to love yourself, to improve yourself, do whatever you love, and later you can be successful.
Wow, that's really good. I read that was the first time I've heard I think of philosophy. Could you call it a philosophy book? I don't think you can. It's a very I
Yeah.
don't know what sort of book to call it,
Also,
but
in the book, there is like two characters. Like in the
yeah,
beginning, the one who is not idealist, but he is cheating a little bit. In the beginning, he grows and
yeah,
he becomes famous and everything.
yeah,
And the other guy who is idealist, actually, he is going slow by slow, but in the beginnings, he is not very successful. And
yeah,
everybody is saying, look to that guy and look to the other
yeah.
guy. In the future, it's changing.
Yeah, definitely. So to our listeners, do check out Ayn Rand, do check out Fountainhead. She has another book which it's on the top of my head, but I can't remember. And I think it's a little bit more popular than Fountainhead.
I think, yeah, with two brothers, or I don't remember brother
Can't
and sister
remember it.
who are,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
but I will
remember it
read that.
later. I'm
But
gonna
I love
remember it.
so much the Fountainhead, so
Yeah,
I was like, okay, I need to give a little bit time to myself to enjoy this book.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
when I was reading the book, I was like very much in love with the book, and I was just finishing my work and going to house to read the book. I couldn't wait to read it.
yeah.
For
It
me,
is
it is my best.
it's a very, very good book. So yeah, I give that an approval as well to anyone. It's a very good book. Perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time. We've kept it
You
just
for
in
inviting and doing such a good program. This is also very much contributing to people, and I really appreciate it. And it's very inspiring.
so kind of you. Thank you so much. No, we really do appreciate it. These sort of stories are very important. One thing I think I always remind people is that we got to remember that with us, the Albanians, only 30 years ago or something around that time, we've left communism, borders open, uh, around the same time, with the war that ended in Kosovo as well. So we are still very new to the scene, so we shouldn't look at ourselves as, you know, where we should be, but we should look at ourselves where we can start and what we can do with the resources we have, and giving back to community and learning from previous mistakes and kind of growing from there. And I think one of the things that inspires me the most, which probably relates back to the negativity thing that you mentioned, was that our parents' generation grew up with that negativity, unfortunately, due to whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
However, a lot of the younger people do not have that. They want to work with other Albanians. They want to support other Albanians. They're giving back. They're finding ways. So if we can just show people that, hey, look, someone's setting up a business, someone's doing this, you know, I think that's going to motivate people, because they're going to feel like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, and Albanians are actually, we are not a very big population, but they are so strong actually with their roots, and you really love to be Albanian actually. When you go to other countries, you feel really happy, like everybody respecting each other, loving each other just because of being Albanian. And it's a good feeling, and we have to have this support also directly to our country, Albania. So everybody, whatever they can do. Some of us, we can do a car, some of others can do a podcast, and whatever we can do for our country, it will be to our benefit. So let's do something for our country.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Tea with Elsa with Arjeta. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. We will share everything that she's doing. So any links and any new updates that Arjeta's talking about, it will be on the bottom below where you can click. So yeah, all that stuff down there. Perfect. And is there anywhere that people can follow you or TIMAK? Any social medias people might want to hear about?
Yeah, I have also the TIMAK official Instagram and Facebook. I have my Instagram, Arjeta Puca, so whatever they want, they can follow.
People will be able to follow and ask you loads of questions. So we are sorry about that. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Tea with Elsa, and thanks again to Arjeta, who took time off her busy schedule to record for our podcast. A truly inspiring individual. I feel more motivated now to get up and do something. I hope you guys feel the same. Before we head off though, guys, please make sure you're following us. Please make sure you're subscribed, you like, you share, you comment, all that usual jazz, fun stuff. And we look forward to seeing you guys next time. See ya.